I'm the kind of person who labels the spice jars and still cooks by instinct. Strategic development by day, soup alchemist by night. So when Daniel cleared his throat over dinner and said, "Babe, tiny thing, could we, maybe not mention your title to Isabella?" The spoon froze midair like it understood betrayal. Not mention, which part? I asked, even though I knew. He stared at the basil plant on the windowsill like it might testify for him. Just keep it simple. She's particular. You know how sophisticated she is. Istanbul changed her. She appreciates, restraint. I'm very restrained, I said. I only correct VPs twice a day. He winced. Please, Elena. She judges. It'll be easier if you say you're an office worker. Admin, something normal. Normal. I tasted the word and it was metal. You want me to hide my job so your sister doesn't, what? Think you married above your grade? It's not like that. His voice dropped. It's just, she'll needle you. And me. I hate how she gets. I just want a peaceful weekend. I put the spoon down. I married Daniel because his heart is the kind that remembers how you like your tea. But that request? It was a paper cut dipped in lemon. Okay, I said finally, because a new idea was rising like bread. Let's try your way. He blinked. Wait, you're okay? Completely, I said, and smiled the kind of smile that passes corporate audits. The next morning Isabella arrived from Istanbul like a limited edition perfume, glossy suitcase, glossy hair, glossy disdain. She hugged Daniel with one arm and air-kissed me like her cheekbones were allergic to contact. So you're the office girl, she said, rolling the phrase on her tongue. How quaint. Quaint's my specialty, I chirped. I file. I fetch. I alphabetize dreams. Daniel coughed into his sleeve. Isabella's phone chimed. Her lock screen was a photo of the Bosphorus and a handbag I could trade for a hatchback. We'll do dinner at my friend Celia's tonight, she announced. Private table. The truffle risotto is flown in. She glanced at my shoes, white sneakers, clean, boring on purpose. Wear something simple. It suits you. Of course, I said, and poured her tea without asking, which somehow made her look pleased and Daniel look ill. Unexpected event number 1 landed before lunch, our doorbell, followed by a bouquet the size of a toddler, addressed to me. The card read, Elena Carter, congrats on the keynote. Your deck changed our quarter. Ravi. Daniel went pale. Isabella plucked the card like evidence. Keynote, she purred. I smiled. Oh, I helped, with slides. Ravi's dramatic. Ravi, she repeated. Drama is a low-income problem. She tucked the card into her bag. We're leaving at 6. She napped, Daniel paced. I'm sorry, he whispered. I didn't expect. It's fine, I said, and meant only half. The other half was taking notes. Before dinner, I dressed down, navy shift dress, no labels, hair in a practical knot. I swapped my usual laptop bag for a canvas tote with a cucumber peeking out. Stagecraft matters. On the ride over, our driver glanced in the rearview. You two visiting Celia? Tell him the smart lady from North Ark saved his brother's startup. Isabella's head snapped. What? Small world, I said mildly. Tech is small. She squinted at me like I'd spoken Ottoman. You know Celia's brother? Only his emails, I said. I format things. Dinner was an amphitheater of glass and attitude. Istanbul photos lined the walls, saffron markets, blue tiles, a yacht with a name that was basically a tax deduction. Isabella swept in like she owned the city. We'll take the terrace, she told the host, then turned to me. Try not to order anything you can't pronounce. Unexpected event number 2, the host recognized me. Not by name, by allergy. Hazelnuts, yes? He asked. We have your note from last time. From last time? Isabella echoed. I shrugged. Office retreat. I refilled the staplers. The menu read like a designer's diary. Isabella recited her life: $1 million apartment, silk pillows, handbags that waitlisted lesser women, vacations where the sand was imported. She asked me what I did all day in that little office. Oh, bits and bobs, I said. I make sure the right people are in the right rooms, asking the right questions. Like a secretary. Like a compass, I said softly, stirring my water. She laughed. It sounded like bangles clinking. So adorable. The waiter set down a wine list thick as a thesis. Isabella waved it away. We'll take the 2012 Barolo. 2 glasses. 3, Daniel said weakly. None for me, I added. Annual review tomorrow. Of staplers? Isabella asked. Of strategy, I said in my head. Out loud, of printers. She leaned back, satisfied. My apartment could fit your office. Probably, I said cheerfully. Printers take up a lot of space. Daniel kicked me under the table. I smiled at the Bosphorus twinkling like it knew a secret. My plan was simple: let Isabella dig. Let Daniel hear how deep the hole went. Then, when the time was right, show them the map. Unexpected event number 3 arrived with the risotto. A gust of wind flipped the terrace placard and smacked Isabella's handbag into her wine. Burgundy bloomed across the leather like a crime scene. She shrieked. This bag cost more than my stapler, I said, standing with my napkin. Here, let's fix it. I dabbed, gentle as a surgeon. She stared, breath shallow. Then, for the first time all day, she said, thank you. Of course, I said. Simplicity suits me. When I sat, Daniel met my eyes. There was apology there, and something like awe. I clinked his water glass. To ordinary office workers, I said. To ordinary, he murmured, and his voice cracked. Across the terrace, Celia's brother walked in, saw me, and lifted a hand. Elena. We signed. Isabella's fork froze. Alphabetized dreams, I said lightly, and finally took a sip of water, because the show had just begun. Celia's brother, Murat, crossed the terrace like he was chasing a deadline. Elena Carter, he beamed. You're the magician from North Ark, right? The one who restructured our growth plan? Every muscle in Daniel's face turned into regret. Isabella blinked twice, her smile trying to resurrect itself. You two know each other? Barely, I said. We emailed. I helped with layout. Layout? Murat laughed. She rebuilt our investor strategy. You saved us a year of bleeding. Celia's been talking about you nonstop. He wanted to send you that Turkish coffee blend, did you get it? Oh, I think it's still in customs, I said sweetly, pretending to miss the way Isabella's knuckles whitened around her fork. Tell Celia I said hi, I added, and Murat clapped me on the shoulder before disappearing into the dining crowd. For a few seconds, no one spoke. The wind ruffled Isabella's silk shawl. Daniel looked like he might spontaneously combust. Isabella finally found her voice. So. You consult? I smiled. Just office things. Sometimes the staplers are international. She gave a brittle laugh. How charming. Well, at least you're making yourself useful. Always, I said. That's what good women do, right? The waiter refilled her wine, but she didn't touch it. Something about my calmness made her uneasy, like she was realizing the play was bigger than her part. Unexpected event number 4 came in the form of her phone ringing. She excused herself, but the terrace was glass, her reflection visible in the window as she took the call. No, she hissed in Turkish, she's some office girl, though Daniel's wife is clever. Too clever. I'll find out who she really is. Daniel groaned under his breath. She's going to Google you. Then let her, I said. I use my maiden name professionally. He stared at me. You thought of everything. Strategic development, I said. I plan. When Isabella came back, she'd rebuilt her face into a smile so polished it could blind a mirror. I've decided, she announced. You must come to my place tomorrow. Tea on the balcony. Daniel can show me the new watch I brought him, and Elena can see how we do things in Istanbul. I'd love to, I said. It'll be educational. She mistook that for sincerity. Perfect. Dress casually. We don't want you to feel out of place. Later that night, in the car, Daniel exhaled like he'd been holding his breath all day. You're enjoying this. Not enjoying, I said. Learning. About what? About how far people will go to protect their own illusions, I said, gazing out at the city lights. You, for example. He winced. I was trying to protect you. By hiding me? By avoiding a fight I knew she'd start. Daniel, I said quietly, you didn't avoid a fight. You just postponed it. At home, I poured us tea while he paced. She's family, he muttered. She always measures everything by status. I didn't want her to. To feel small next to me? His silence was answer enough. Unexpected event number 5 came right then, a message from my boss, Ravi. Elena, congratulations. The board approved your promotion. Formal announcement Friday. Executive Director of Strategic Growth. Daniel read it over my shoulder. Executive Director, he whispered. Elena, that's another thing you'll have to hide, apparently. He sat down hard, head in hands. I messed up. I took a sip of tea. Not yet, I said. But you might, if you keep underestimating me. The next morning, Isabella's invitation arrived via voice note, don't be late. I've invited a few people, colleagues, friends. It'll be delightful. Delightful, I echoed. Sounds like an ambush. Daniel rubbed his temples. Maybe I should tell her the truth before we go. I smiled. No. Let's keep the experiment running. He frowned. Experiment? Oh, yes, I said. Phase 2, exposure therapy. He blinked. For who? For everyone, I said, finishing my toast. And as I buttoned my plain cotton blouse, I had a strange feeling in my chest, not anger, not pride, but anticipation. Tomorrow, Isabella's glittering kingdom would get a surprise audit. And this time I wouldn't alphabetize a thing. Isabella's apartment looked like a museum where no one had ever laughed. Everything was white, couches, orchids, even the coffee cups, as if joy might stain the furniture. She greeted us in silk and superiority, air-kissed Daniel twice, and looked me up and down. You took my advice, she said approvingly. Very modest. I smiled. I'm a fast learner. There were already guests, 4 of them. Her friends. Perfectly manicured, perfume so strong it could rewrite memories. One of them, Selin, leaned in to whisper loudly enough for everyone to hear, she's Daniel's wife? So, ordinary. I expected someone more, polished. Polish is expensive, I said with a grin. I prefer authenticity. It's cheaper to maintain. They blinked. Isabella forced a laugh. Oh, Elena, you're funny. She's funny, isn't she? Selin tilted her head. Adorable. Daniel shot me a look that said please behave. But he should have known, when I go quiet, that's when the chessboard starts shifting. Unexpected event number 6 arrived disguised as small talk. Isabella's neighbor, a man in his 40s wearing an unbuttoned linen shirt and the smugness of someone rich by inheritance, said, So, Elena, what do you do exactly? I looked up from my tea. Office work. Ah, he said. The humble kind. We need more of that. Society collapses without good assistance. I nodded. True. And without good leadership, too. The wrong decisions up top can destroy thousands of jobs. But what would I know? He blinked, unsure whether I was complimenting or insulting him. Isabella jumped in. She's very down to earth, she said. Daniel's lucky. She doesn't care about ambition or luxury. Oh, I do care about ambition, I said lightly. Just not the kind that needs validation to breathe. Daniel choked on his coffee. Isabella's smile faltered for half a second. Then came unexpected event number 7. A glass shattered in the kitchen, followed by a voice, familiar. Isabella, darling. Your building's parking system nearly crashed again. If I hadn't called North Arc, you'd have been locked in. I froze. That voice. It belonged to Lena Park, one of my company's external partners, someone who had no filter, no patience, and a photographic memory for people. Lena, I said before I could stop myself. She turned, spotted me, and squealed. Elena. What are you doing here? Didn't you just close that insane merger last month? The Carter strategy, right? Isabella's eyes widened. You two know each other? Lena laughed. Know her? I work for her. Everyone does. She's the brains behind North Arc's expansion. Wait, are you consulting Isabella too? Wow, your client list is growing. The silence was thick enough to butter. Daniel stared at his knees. Isabella's jaw dropped. I handle logistics, I said quickly, trying to save face, for Daniel, not for her. Lena frowned. You're being modest again. Classic Elena. Remember that keynote in Singapore? The one that made the investors cry? Sellen's teacup wobbled. Investors, cry? Isabella's expression curdled. Daniel, she said slowly, you told me she was an office worker. Daniel's mouth opened and closed like a goldfish in moral distress. Well, technically she works in an office. Lena squinted. Office worker? Oh, honey, she runs that office. I sighed, gently setting my cup down. Well, that escalated. Isabella stood, her shawl trembling. So you've been lying to me? I looked at Daniel. We've all been lying to someone, haven't we? He swallowed hard. Elena, No, I said quietly. Not here. Not yet. The storm hit then, literally. Wind lashed the balcony, scattering napkins and rattling the glass doors. Isabella rushed to save her centerpiece vase just as thunder rolled through the city. It was chaos, hair whipping, cushions flying, people shouting. In the middle of it all, I helped steady the table. Careful, I said, catching the vase before it fell. Isabella looked at me, drenched, mascara streaking, pride dissolving like sugar in rain. For a heartbeat, she looked human. Vulnerable. Why didn't you just tell me? She asked, her voice breaking. I hesitated. Because I wanted to see how you treat people you think are beneath you. She flinched like I'd slapped her. That's cruel. No, I said softly. It's honest. The thunder subsided, but the damage was done. One of her friends muttered something about traffic and left. Another pretended to take a call. Soon, only the three of us remained, me, Daniel, and Isabella, standing among soggy cushions and shattered pride. You humiliated me, she whispered. I gave you a mirror, I said. You chose what you saw. She didn't reply. Just turned away, shoulders shaking slightly. Daniel looked between us helplessly. We should go, he murmured. I nodded. Yes. Before the next storm. As we left, I glanced back once. Isabella stood on her pristine balcony, barefoot now, staring at the skyline like it might offer forgiveness. She'd learn, I thought. Maybe not today, but eventually. And Daniel? He was about to learn too. The ride home was a graveyard of silence. Daniel gripped the wheel like it owed him an apology. Finally, I said, so. That went, well. He sighed. I deserve that. I'm sorry, Elena. I didn't think it would go that far. You didn't think at all, I said gently. You were busy protecting her pride instead of my dignity. He winced but didn't argue. She texted me, he muttered. Said I embarrassed her in front of everyone. I smiled faintly. Good. Maybe she'll think before judging next time. But I was wrong, Isabella didn't retreat. The next morning, she posted a picture on Instagram, her balcony table, tea, and a caption, some people pretend to be humble, but their arrogance shows. Daniel showed me, horrified. She's talking about you. Let her, I said. I don't fight in captions. Unexpected event number 8 arrived that afternoon, Isabella called. Elena, she said, her voice tight. Lunch. Just us. I owe you, clarity. I agreed. Curiosity won. At the restaurant, she looked smaller somehow. You made me feel stupid, she said quietly. I didn't make you anything, I replied. I just stopped playing along. She nodded slowly. You're right. I was cruel. But you have to understand, my world is built on appearance. Weakness gets eaten alive. Then maybe it's time you stopped feeding it, I said. For a moment, she almost smiled. You're not what I expected, Elena Carter. Few people are, I said. When I got home, Daniel was waiting with flowers. No lies, ever again, he said. Even the small ones. Deal, I said, and meant it. Outside, the city glowed, clean after the storm. The war was over. Quietly, finally, peace began. A week later, Isabella invited us again, this time for dinner at her place. The message was oddly formal, no audience. No games. Just family. Daniel looked nervous. Do you want to go? Yes, I said. Closure is best served warm. When we arrived, the apartment felt different. No wine glasses waiting, no friends posing for photos. Just soft music, candles, and, shockingly, Isabella in jeans. Come in, she said quietly. I cooked. I blinked. You, cooked? She half smiled. Well, I ordered, but I plated it myself. We sat. The silence wasn't sharp anymore, just cautious. She poured tea instead of wine and took a deep breath. I owe you both an apology. Daniel started to protest, but she raised a hand. No, let me finish. I was rude, judgmental, and jealous. You're both younger than me, and somehow, you built what I can't seem to find, peace. I mocked it because I didn't understand it. I met her eyes. For once, they weren't calculating. Thank you, I said simply. That means a lot. Unexpected event number 9 came when she slid a small box across the table. Inside was a silver pendant, delicate, understated, beautiful. For you, she said. Something simple. I thought you'd like that. I smiled. I do. Daniel finally exhaled, tension melting from his shoulders. So, no more pretending? No more, Isabella said. And next time you want to protect me, little brother, don't. I can handle the truth. He laughed softly. Guess I needed to learn that too. We clinked our teacups instead of wine glasses, and for the first time since her arrival, laughter filled the room, not sharp, not forced, just real. When we left, Isabella hugged me. You were right, she whispered. Dignity isn't about status. It's about knowing when to stop performing. I squeezed her hand. Welcome to the real world. Outside, Daniel slipped his arm around me. You're incredible, you know that? I grinned. Strategic development, remember? I fix broken systems. He kissed my forehead. Including families. And as we walked home under the quiet city lights, I realized something simple and beautiful. Peace doesn't always roar, it often arrives as a whisper after the storm. Monday arrived with sunlight and unread emails. I slipped back into my real world, the one of boardrooms, data models, and half-cold coffee. But that morning felt different. Not because of the workload, but because of the announcement. At 9 a.m., Ravi called everyone into the conference room. "Team," he said, grinning, "our new executive director of strategic growth, Elena Carter." Applause erupted. My team cheered, someone popped a confetti balloon, and I laughed, cheeks flushed. It felt good, not because of the title, but because I'd earned it without shrinking for anyone. Unexpected event number 10 came at noon, flowers again. But this time, the card read, "Congratulations, Executive Director. From your favorite sister-in-law, Isabella." I stared at it for a long time before smiling. Well, I said to myself, miracles do exist. Later that evening, Daniel showed up at my office with takeout. "Thought we could celebrate here," he said. "You know, where you actually work." I laughed. "You mean not my imaginary cubicle where I alphabetize staplers?" He winced playfully. Low blow. Deserved. We sat on the floor eating noodles out of cartons, surrounded by strategy charts and sticky notes. "I've been thinking," he said. "You've always supported me. It's my turn now." "How so?" "I'm applying for a senior position at my firm. Not because I need to prove anything, but because watching you own your truth made me realize I've been hiding too." I reached for his hand. "That's the best promotion announcement I've heard all day." He smiled, eyes soft. "We're good now, right?" "Better," I said. "Because now we're equals, not in income, but in honesty." As we packed up, I noticed one last email, Isabella again. "Dinner next week?" My treat. "And no luxury menus, I promise." I smiled, typing back, "Only if you let me bring dessert." Outside, the city shimmered, alive, unpretentious, full of promise. For the first time in weeks, everything felt balanced: work, love, truth. And as Daniel and I walked hand in hand toward the elevator, I thought, maybe simplicity was never about living small, it was about living real. By Friday, my promotion was the talk of the office, and Ravi insisted on throwing a celebration. "Bring your husband," he said. "And the sister-in-law who sent those fancy flowers, I like her taste." Daniel grinned nervously when I told him. "Oh, she's definitely coming. She said she wants to meet your colleagues, properly this time." I raised an eyebrow. "You trust her to behave?" He hesitated. "I trust that she knows you could verbally destroy her if she doesn't." Fair point. That evening, the rooftop venue sparkled, string lights, soft jazz, glasses clinking. My coworkers mingled, toasting to the woman who makes chaos look elegant. I was just starting to relax when I saw Isabella at the door, dressed beautifully but, shockingly, subtle. No diamonds, no designer logos, just calm confidence. "Wow," Ravi whispered. "She looks grounded." "Don't jinx it," I murmured. Isabella greeted me with a hug that was almost warm. "Congratulations again, Elena. I'm proud of you." I blinked. "You are?" "Don't sound so surprised," she said lightly. "Turns out humility can be learned after all." Unexpected event number 11 arrived about 15 minutes later. A man in a tailored suit I didn't recognize approached our table. "Mrs. Carter," he said. "I'm from Forbes. We're profiling Northark's leadership. Would you be open to a brief interview?" Before I could answer, Isabella's face lit up. "Oh, you must. She'll be perfect, elegant, articulate, brilliant." She stopped, realizing she sounded like her old self, and added sheepishly, "Sorry. Habit." I laughed. Compliment accepted. Daniel joined us, looking more relaxed than I'd seen him in weeks. He clinked his glass against mine. "You've officially made it," he said. "No," I replied softly. "We've made it." The rest of the evening flowed easily, stories, laughter, even Isabella charming my coworkers with her wit instead of her wealth. For the first time, she seemed content to listen. As we were leaving, Ravi leaned toward me. Your sister-in-law's a force. Remind me not to underestimate your family. I smiled. We've all learned not to underestimate each other. In the car, Isabella turned to me. You know, I was wrong about you. I thought success needed to be loud. And now? I asked. Now I think real success whispers. Like you. I reached over and squeezed her hand. That's the nicest thing you've ever said to me. Don't get used to it, she teased, but her smile was genuine. Outside, the city hummed with life, and for once, we all sat in peaceful silence, the kind that meant something had healed. The interview took place 2 days later in a sleek downtown cafe. The journalist, Maya, had that poised, sharp energy of someone who could turn a glance into a headline. So, she began, voice smooth, recorder blinking red. You're one of the youngest executive directors in Northark's history. What drives you? I smiled. Purpose. People. And a stubborn refusal to let ego run the show. She raised an eyebrow. Ego? That sounds personal. I hesitated, thinking of Daniel and Isabella. Let's just say I've seen how easily people mistake arrogance for confidence. I prefer the quiet kind, the kind that doesn't need an audience. Unexpected event number 12 came midway through, Maya's phone buzzed. She glanced down, then grinned. You're trending, you know. Northark's investors posted your keynote clip from last year, it's everywhere. Trending? I repeated. Millions of views. Apparently, you've become the face of ethical innovation. I blinked. That sounds exhausting. She laughed. Welcome to the spotlight. When the article went live the next morning, everything changed, emails from other firms, invitations to speak, even a message from a university asking if I'd guest lecture. Daniel brought coffee to my desk with a proud smile. Mrs. Ethical Innovation, huh? I groaned. Don't start. Then came a text from Isabella, read your article. You sound like me after therapy. I'm impressed. I laughed so hard I nearly spilled my drink. Later that evening, we all met for dinner, just family this time. Isabella toasted with sparkling water. To Elena, she said. The woman who proved simplicity is a power move. Unexpected event number 13 came when she added, and to my new job. Daniel's eyebrows shot up. Job? She smiled. Consulting for a nonprofit. Helping girls in Istanbul learn coding. I figured I could use my privilege for something useful. I blinked. That's incredible. She shrugged. Someone inspired me. I didn't need to ask who. We clinked glasses again, laughter filling the small restaurant. For the first time, everything felt easy, no secrets, no pretenses, no power plays. Just family, finally speaking the same language. As we left, Isabella turned to me and said, you were right, you know. About what? Success doesn't shine, it glows. I smiled. And you're finally glowing, too. She laughed, looping her arm through mine as we walked out into the night. A week after the Forbes article, my inbox exploded. Investors, journalists, recruiters, everyone wanted a piece of the ethical innovation woman. But one email stood out, Silvaris Technologies, a global firm offering me the position of Vice President of Strategic Development. Double my salary, international travel, a team of hundreds. I stared at the screen, heartbeat loud in my ears. That evening, I told Daniel over dinner. They want me to move to London, I said quietly. He froze mid-bite. London? 6 months abroad. Maybe a year. It's huge, Daniel. Everything I've worked for. He nodded slowly. You have to take it. I frowned. Just like that? He smiled faintly. You've spent years helping others grow. You deserve this. But later that night, I found him in the kitchen, staring at his coffee like it held answers. Talk to me, I said softly. He sighed. I don't want to hold you back, Elena. But I also don't want to live on different continents. I leaned against the counter. So, what do we do? Unexpected event number 14 came before dawn, a message from Daniel's company. We'd like to discuss relocating you to our London office. Are you available for a call? When I read it, I laughed. Did you? He grinned sleepily. I may have talked to HR last night. Figured if life gives you London, I'll just follow you there. I threw my arms around him. You'd move your entire career for me? For us, he said simply. 2 days later, Isabella showed up at our apartment with pastries. So, she said, I hear London's calling. I nodded. It feels surreal. She smirked. Just don't go turning into me when you get rich. I laughed. Promise. You'd never let me. Exactly, she said. I'll keep you humble from Istanbul. That evening, Daniel and I sat on the balcony, city lights shimmering around us. You know, he said, if someone told me a month ago that my bossy sister would become your biggest fan, I'd have laughed. People evolve, I said. Even us. He kissed my forehead. So London? London, I whispered. Together. And for the first time in our marriage, ambition didn't feel like a wedge, it felt like wings. London greeted us with cold rain and bright promise. Our new apartment overlooked the Thames, small but filled with light. Daniel unpacked cables and chargers while I arranged flowers by the window, both of us grinning like kids on the first day of school. It's weird, he said. We left everything behind, but it feels like we brought the best parts of ourselves. Maybe because we finally stopped hiding them, I said, hanging a framed photo of us with Isabella. Unexpected event number 15 arrived that night, a video call from Istanbul. Isabella appeared on screen, windswept and glowing. Guess what, she said. My girls' coding program got funding. We're opening 3 new centers. That's amazing. I said. She grinned. See? You go change the tech world, I'll change who gets to enter it. Daniel leaned into the frame. Who are you, and what have you done with my sister? Personal growth, she said proudly. It's contagious. After the call, we walked along the river, rain misting our faces. You know, Daniel said, this feels like a clean slate. It is, I replied. No lies, no masks, no shrinking. He squeezed my hand. You taught me that honesty doesn't break relationships, it rebuilds them. And you taught me that love isn't protection, it's partnership. We stopped on a bridge, watching lights ripple across the water. The city hummed with quiet potential, and for the first time in months, I felt completely still inside. Unexpected event number 16, though smaller, sweeter, came when Daniel reached into his pocket. I was saving this, he said, pulling out a tiny velvet box. Inside was a delicate gold bracelet engraved with a single word, enough. I looked at him, eyes stinging. Because I finally am? He smiled. Because you always were. We kissed under the drizzle, laughter spilling between us, the kind that comes from relief and certainty all at once. That night, as I watched the lights of London flicker outside our window, I thought about everything we'd been through, the lies, the lessons, the quiet transformations. We hadn't just built careers, we'd built character. We hadn't just found peace, we'd earned it. And for the first time in a long time, I realized the truth that had guided me all along: dignity doesn't shout, it stands tall, quietly certain of its worth.